We live our entire lives inside this legal system, but what is its actual foundational purpose? Why is it even here in the first place?
Okay, so to really get to the bottom of that, we've got to start with what most of us assume the answer is. Let's just talk about our typical, everyday understanding of what justice is for.
Yeah, I mean, if you just walked up to someone on the street and asked them, this is probably the answer you'd get. The legal system is there to protect the innocent, punish the guilty, and, act as a kind of moral compass for society. It's about protecting people. That's the intuitive, common sense answer.
And this is where things get really interesting. The system's origins are much colder, more pragmatic, and rooted not in morality, but in a universal problem. So to understand this different perspective, we have to put philosophy aside for a minute and start with economics. And that brings us to the foundational concept of this entire theory, the conflict that arises from scarcity. At its core, scarcity is just a basic fact of life. There simply isn't enough of everything, food, land, wealth, resources, to satisfy every single person's needs and wants. There's a limited supply. And this fundamental reality inevitably splits every society into two basic groups. You have the haves, those who have successfully gotten a hold of the goods they need, and then you have the have-nots, whose needs are still unmet. The source is clear that this isn't a moral judgment. It's just a simple description of an economic outcome. So you can see it right away. This creates an immediate and unavoidable conflict. It's not about good guys versus bad guys. It's just about competing interests. The have-nots naturally want what the haves possess. And the haves, well, they understandably want to protect what they have from being taken. This constant simmering conflict, just built into the fabric of society, demanded some kind of solution. And that solution is the origin of the law itself, a system designed specifically to protect property. And there it is. That's the core argument in a single sentence. The entire legal framework we live under is, at its heart, an economic tool. Its primary purpose isn't some philosophical ideal of justice. It's about the management and protection of assets.
The logical flow here is simple but really powerful. First, the group with property needed a way to defend it. So a formal system was created for exactly that purpose. Over centuries, that system evolved into what we now call the legal system, but its original foundational purpose, protecting ownership, is still its core function. Now, this is maybe the most challenging part of the whole argument. The system wasn't designed to protect you, the individual, in some abstract sense. It was designed to protect the things you own. The person is protected only as a means to protect their property. That might sound pretty cynical, right? I mean, why would a society prioritize stuff over people? Well, there's a very powerful and very practical economic reason for this.
Here's the rationale. If there's no system to guarantee that you get to keep what you acquire, why would you even bother trying to acquire anything in the first place? Why build a house, or plant a field, or start a business if someone can just come along and take it with no consequence? The protection of property is what creates the incentive for all economic activity. Without it, development just stops.
So that's the origin story. But does this framework actually help us understand the world today? Yes, it absolutely does. And it points to some very modern consequences of this economic design.
In resource-rich nations like the DRC, military forces are sometimes deployed not primarily to stop human rights abuses, but to secure mines and ensure the stable extraction of valuable minerals. Second, when powerful, wealthy people break the law, they sometimes get much lighter sentences. The theory says this isn't just leniency, but a calculated move to keep their massive resources and capital active within the economy.
Now, from this perspective, these situations aren't failures of the system. They are the system working exactly as it was designed. They reveal its true underlying priority, maintaining economic function and protecting valuable resources, sometimes even when that conflicts with our ideas of individual justice.
So where does all of this leave us? It forces us to ask a final, fundamental question. Is our legal system ultimately about justice, or is it about economics?
Let's just retrace the chain of logic one last time. It all begins with the economic reality of scarcity, which creates a natural conflict. To manage this conflict, a system is born to protect property, and that protection becomes the bedrock for all economic development. It's a stark reminder of this theory's core claim, that the system's original programming is fundamentally about protecting things, not people.
So this text leaves us with a final, really thought-provoking question. If the entire foundation of our justice system is built on the cold logic of protecting property for economic stability, what does that actually mean when we seek true fairness and justice within that same system today? It's a powerful lens through which to re-examine the world around us.